Hey everyone, this is Hannah Fletcher, and I am here speaking with Edmund. I am so excited to be speaking with you today. You directed Blink. I want to start off with how are you feeling? What has been the feedback that you've been receiving? I'm so inspired, but I would love to hear where you're at with everything.
Thanks, Anna. It's lovely to be here. The feedback has been greater than we anticipated. Two things to say. On the one hand, there's kind of nothing better as a filmmaker than being either part of the audience or coming in at the end and hearing all the sniffles and tears and laughter that we hoped our film would generate for audiences of all ages. I think also what we dreamed of as filmmakers was doing that rare thing, which is to make a film that children could watch. And, children in the fiction world have plenty of films made for them, but we just felt like in the best case scenario, we could speak to children with this film. And I think of our premiere when we were at Telluride this past August. And after the first or second screening, local kids who'd seen the film came screaming and running up to the kids in our movie and wanted their autograph, were talking to them and seemed genuinely inspired. And I'm talking about 14-year-old teenage boys who don't like anything were so excited to talk to Leo. You're my favorite kid. No, Colleen's my favorite kid. And I think most beautifully of Mia, the oldest daughter in the film, who a young girl came up to her and very timidly said, Mia, how does it feel to be famous? And she said, I'm not famous. I'm just a regular girl like you. And moments like that just melt your heart. It's really beautiful.
Oh my gosh, that is beautiful. Also, what I really think is very kismet and very beautiful about this whole
Mm,
experience is obviously the kids were documented getting to see and do wonderful things, obviously. But I also love that the idea of the premiere, the idea of even seeing this, like that kind of feeds into like another really unique dream that at least obviously they're able to see and achieve. And I love
absolutely.
that. It's so
Yeah,
neat.
absolutely.
I'm curious to ask you, what did the process look like? I was also, I mean, obviously, I've seen and I've read through even the director's notes and everything too, and I think that you guys wrote that up so beautifully. But what did the process look like for you all on your end, connecting with the family? I know that there was such a beautiful intention of showing the family, raising awareness, all of that. But what did that process look like of finding and identifying this family and like really saying, okay, you know what, there's something here, there's something to
Mhm.
show. And I know that even with the pandemic, things were a little bit delayed. So talk to us a little bit about that process.
Yeah, we actually only met the family in 2022, I believe. Daniel and I, my co-director, we'd read articles about the family. Obviously, they've been picked up by CNN and The Guardian as their travels
Mhm.
kind of really took off post, you know, and what happened is Amit Day, a fellow Canadian from MRC, he reached out to the family, asked them if they wanted to make a film, and then essentially the company brought the story to us and asked us, "Do you want to go on this incredible journey with this family and tell their story?" As a documentary filmmaker, it's kind of like a no-brainer, where do I sign kind of moment. And Daniel and I have been working together for 10 years on numerous films, so there was an ease with which we answered that question and knew we could do something. What I would add is that what is tricky with a film like this, as I'm sure you're aware, is that it's very easy to lean into the melodrama, the mawkish sentimentality of a film like this. And on reading stories like this, and I think even for audience members who are going to come to our film now, there can be an expectation that this film is going to be saccharine. And I honestly believe we avoided that in every way. And that was very crucial for us, is that if we're going to make this film, yes, we're going to do emotional and authentic justice to this family's experience, but we are not going to make an Instagram story and we're not going to exploit these children for this greater emotional gain. So that was really the kind of blueprint of how we wanted to make the film. How can we make an intimate, personal film that families from any generations can see?
That is such a beautiful way of putting that. And I caught on to that and I love that you guys had that approach. Like you said, I mean, it's a very fleshed out, well-rounded way of having of how you guys went about this. That's what I really appreciated. That's what I really resonated with because we've all seen documentaries where it's just like, it's raising awareness and that's always wonderful, but there's something to it when it's just sad upon sad upon sad as a viewer. It's nice to be able to have that full fleshed out story and that arc like that, especially when you're dealing with children too. It's so nice the way that you guys did all of it. I appreciated it a lot for sure. I'm curious to ask you, obviously, especially when it comes to filming anything like a documentary, anything, especially in like the reality medium space, you're going to have scenes that maybe make the cutting room floor. Or,
Mhm.
I know especially with the kids as well, they had so many wonderful ideas and we saw so much. Was there anything that we didn't see on camera or what even maybe maybe in terms of the process of what it looks like from your end, how did you
Mm.
determine what made it versus maybe what you'll hold and maybe even package up and put in like BTS or like an extended version or something like that?
Mm. I mean, speak to the BTS question first, Hannah. We
Mhm.
shot a lot more with them at home in Montreal. A
Mhm.
lot of observational stuff. We had an initial idea that the film would be more of an interplay between the trip and everyday life. Because this
Okay.
was about visual memory and memory generally, I had the idea that maybe real life would unfold and it would invoke something from the trip, and we could move a little more poetically between the two spaces. In practice, that just didn't work because, from a filmmaking point of view, we were getting a lot of the same beats in the story. What that meant is we have whole scenes at Christmas and Halloween, just beautiful, very relatable family moments of just pure observational stuff of the kids getting ready for Halloween, putting on their costumes, arguing with each other, just everyday life at its purest, just most beautiful way that only documentary can capture. And I'm
Mhm.
hoping people get to see that in some of the BTS as things progress with the film. In terms answering your other question about how we chose the scenes that we included, I think from our perspective as filmmakers, we were having to anticipate, or we weren't given much time to anticipate where the parents were going. They made decisions quite late. And so what became the defining principle for us was, what are the places we can choose that have a broader, more universal metaphorical value that a lot of our audience, wherever they are in the world, can understand. Climbing a mountain is an obvious one. When we think of the desert and the time we spent there, we think of something spiritual, specifically in a kind of religious context. When we think of the jungle, I think we often think of more of a psychic dreamscape. And so we tried to lean into spaces where the mise en scène could help tell the emotional story that was unfolding with the family. Because we always knew this was a film that would be shot in a beautiful way by our DP and would have those beautiful Nat Geo vistas that you come to associate with the brand and love. But
Yes.
ultimately, they mean nothing if they're not attached to the intimate emotional journey of the family. So that's really how we approached it.
That's so neat. Yeah, I was when I saw this, I was like, I can't wait to ask him that. I'm so curious. I love the way that you guys shot everything. And again, even like you said, especially with Nat Geo, there's just a vibe that you guys that's established and that you get. And I think again that you guys hit it on the head for that for sure. My final question to you is there any conversation or would there be any conversation, especially as these kids continue to get older? And I mean, obviously, this is about raising awareness of this very rare condition that these kids have.
Mm.
Would there be any conversation of any like picking up cameras and possibly doing another round of shooting as they continue to get older and progress? And I don't know, has that ever been a conversation that you've had with the family, or is that an idea that you guys would have? Obviously, if there's a conversation already going, not trying to dig and get any spoilers or
No,
ruin
no.
anything, but just curious.
Oh, of
Curiosity.
course, yeah. I think we've talked about it kind of briefly with the family. I think in an ideal world, we might rejoin the family in 10 years' time as the kids are entering early adulthood.
Mm.
Obviously, as the condition progresses, I think it would be crucial that the filmmaking approach changed and was commensurate with how their lives have changed. And to be practical, what I'm saying is this would be a film directed probably by myself and someone from the visually impaired community. I'd work with someone with RP because I think it's, in terms of how we bring that perspective to life, it's crucial that we work with the right team to do that. It's a different case as the kids were earlier with the condition, and our film focuses more on the early stages of coming to terms with the diagnosis. But I'd love to do that film, but I'd love to collaborate with the right person and tell that story authentically and make sure that the visually impaired community felt part of the conversation, like this film was done with the respect and honor that they deserve. So that's very much how we'd approach it. But hopefully, I would love to, is a short answer.
Sweet. I love that. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for speaking with me. Congratulations with all of the success. And I'm so excited. And I've even saw like when I was researching it myself, I'm like, I'm seeing all of the air dates and everything. I love that it's still continuing to just to get pushed and to get shown. And I just think it's so important. And thank you for obviously for collaborating with this family and for telling their story and doing it in such a great way and giving them such a platform and doing it in such justice too. I really appreciate it as a viewer. Thank you so much for your time too. I appreciate it.
Johanna, thanks for your time.
Thank you.